video game sequels. Some are good, some are bad, some are just okay. And in the case of Devil May Cry 2, I would say it is just okay. I had seen some videos before I started playing it that made me a little bit concerned because they were mostly negative. I was mainly just worried that there'd be some like really frustrating section or it would just be like some poor control thing that would be annoying, and there are kind of some stuff like that, but um it's not unplayable for sure. So in terms of the controls from the first game, they definitely have refined some things. Like the dodging I think is significantly better. They added some like cool kind of in-air gun shooting that you can do, and you can shoot multiple enemies at once. But they also added a targeting feature, and I really don't understand why, because you already have a button to lock onto an enemy, and now you have this little like purple reticle that's just constantly locked onto an enemy, and it'll like drag the camera around and do weird stuff like that. It'll affect where you're swinging your sword. Maybe you're trying to hit a different enemy or hit a switch or something, and it pulls you back towards the enemy you're like locked onto, even though you're not pressing the lock on button. And they also made the guns like way too strong. So the guns are just like way better than they were in the first game. In the first game, they're kind of like a supplement to your sword, but in this game, you could honestly probably beat the entire game with just the guns. Some enemies basically require you to use the guns on them because you can't jump high enough to hit them. I mean, you can fly in this game, but if you don't have any devil trigger, then you can't fly. You have to use the guns way too much, and you can use them way too much, I think. So I wasn't a fan of how strong they made the guns as like an option to use as a weapon. But something that was kind of cool that they added was these like amulet things that affect your devil trigger state. So there's one for each element, so you could use like lightning or fire or ice. Or there's another one that makes it so you deal more damage, or you can swap that out and have one that makes it so you heal faster. But there's also ones that change your movement. There's one that makes you fly. There's one that makes you run really fast, or just have faster movement speed in general. But then there is one that is supposed to make you swim better. And only Lucia gets it. I don't understand why it's in the game, because it doesn't do anything. Okay, she has a scene or a portion of the game that's underwater. It's supposed to make you swim better. I swear it doesn't do anything. If someone in the comments wants to explain how it's supposed to work, I mean, maybe I could just look it up. I don't really care though, because it doesn't do anything. That one is stupid, but the rest of the stuff is actually pretty cool. So I did think that that was a cool thing, because then your weapon like element isn't dictated by like the weapon that you're using. So I like that. They kind of recycled a lot of enemies in the game, and it would just be like, oh, this enemy is a fire version, or this enemy is a poison version of that one. But they did have these infected tanks and a helicopter. And in a game where you mainly are using a melee weapon, a tank enemy is just so dumb, because tanks can only really deal damage to you when you're far away from them. But as soon as you get close to them, it just doesn't do anything. Like Lucia has to fight one as like a boss, and then Dante fights 3 of them. I mean, you might not even have to fight them. You can probably just run past them. But the helicopter, it has this like chase sequence that is kind of cool that I enjoyed. I mean, but you're just running through this like very generic looking city, and then once you get to the highest building, then you actually fight it, and you have to use your guns a lot because it's a flying thing and it doesn't want to go into the middle of the map very often, so you can hit it with your sword. So in general, the levels just didn't feel as interesting as the first game. I mean, the first game had a cool setting and all the rooms were pretty different. And this one has a lot of large open areas where you kind of just have to traverse them for a while, and there's like nothing happening except for like maybe some enemies showing up. And then the bosses. So they're just okay. I mean, they're kind of like just forgettable compared to the first one. Like they don't really have that much of an introduction. They just didn't have as much memorability as the bosses in the first game, except for Phantom is in this game. So there's all these bosses, and then there is one boss that only Lucia gets to fight that is an underwater boss. And it is terrible. I don't understand like what they were even thinking with this. It like there's not really a way to dodge. You just have to swim out of the way, and you swim so slow. And the only real way to deal damage to it is to shoot it with your gun, but it cloaks itself, and the only way to make it uncloak itself is to hit it with your sword. It was like the most frustrating thing in the entire game by far. It was just, I felt like it was terrible design. They should have given you more movement underwater if they were gonna do that. Then there is the kind of main villain that you fight in the game. This is by far the stupidest boss fight that I've ever had in probably any game. Basically, all he does is stand there and he like aura farms. He just aura farms the entire fight. So he stands there and he sends his minions after you, or he'll shoot you, or he'll use this like portal to suck you in. And you know, you get to the final boss and you're thinking this is going to be he's not the final boss, but he's like the main villain. And you're thinking this is going to be some kind of like epic fight or something. And it's just so lame. All he does is stand there. He doesn't fight you with anything. Like he doesn't even like punch you. He just stands there the entire time. He also like he's just not a great character, which kind of brings me to like the story. Or rather, the lack of a story. So, I'm just going to explain it like this is how maybe they would have explained it to you. Like, this is like, from start to finish, the information that you would gather from playing both sides of the story. Like, none of this is really explained. So, basically, you're trying to find these 4 relic things before Arius, the main bad guy, the main villain, finds them. And because he wants to become immortal or whatever it's supposed to do. So you go to these different places. As Dante, you're kind of like following behind Lucia as she goes to all these places and finding these items. Part way through, she finds out that she was actually created by Arius, and he's like basically saying that she'll turn evil and stuff, and so she's really distraught by that. After that, then, you know, she's all upset because she's made by this guy, and so she goes to confront him, and then you fight him, and she gets captured, so she like you win the boss fight, but she technically can't win. And then Dante shows up, and he's just like, this is just a bunch of crap. And he just throws all the artifacts onto the ground. And there's a reason that he does it, but he just throws them on the ground. He's like, this is just a bunch of crap. And it's just acting like he doesn't care about it. And the guy's just like, he's like, okay, like, I guess I'll just take it then. So he takes all this stuff and he tries to use it to become like immortal or whatever. And it doesn't work. And so he's like, why is it not working? And it's because Dante swapped the coin that was like the special coin with his personal coin. And they probably only gave Dante a coin in this game for this scene, maybe even. I don't know. But yeah, he has a coin now. He acts like Two-Face, and he flips his coin when he's deciding if he's going to help someone or do anything for some reason. So it doesn't work because the wrong coin is there. So he like fights Dante, and then the building collapses, and Dante and Lucia escape. But then this portal is still opening. So Dante's like, I'll go in there and fight it. And she's like, no, I'll go in because I'm expendable. And then he's like, well, how about we flip this coin? And if it's heads, then I'll go in. But if it's tails, then you go in. So he flips the coin and it's heads, so he goes in. And I thought it was going to be if you played as Lucia, then it would be tails, so then she would go in there. But no, she actually gets a different boss fight, which is good because I think that her boss fight is kind of more interesting. But that's just my opinion. Because the final boss as Dante is, first of all, the first phase is this giant blob of all of the bosses you fought in the game put together. So it's just really uninspired. It just is so dumb, like so uncreative. Like there's just zero creativity. And so you beat the blob that was all the bosses combined, and then it becomes this like fire guy that's basically like a copy of you. Like he fights really similar to how Dante fights in the game. And then you beat that guy, and that's it. He somehow, his motorcycle is in there. Maybe he wrote it in there. I don't remember. You'll see in the video. But he rides his motorcycle off into the distance. And then for Lucia's fight, she actually fights Arius again, but he's not just aura farming. Now he's actually going to fight. So he's kind of like this stronger, like monster guy. He has these two, like Doc Ock arms on his back, and he fights. And that's his first phase. His second phase, he kind of becomes like the blob that Dante fights, except it's like actually kind of creative. You fight him in this like crevice, and then he's kind of holding himself up on with his arms and legs on the side of the crevice, like while you're fighting him. And I don't know, I thought that was a lot more interesting than, I mean, really any of the bosses that you fight in the game, but definitely more interesting than, or more creative than Dante's boss fight. So then she finishes fighting Arius, she beats him, and she realizes that the coin actually has heads on both sides. So either way, Dante would have gone in there. And I just don't get it, because I'm like, they're trying to make him this like emo character that's like serious now, I guess. But then he has this coin that has heads on both sides, and he acts like he's leaving things up to chance, but it actually just has heads on both sides. So he's actually like being a nice guy. I don't know. It's stupid. I mean, they like trashed his character in this one. That's something I've heard a lot of people say. Another thing is like Trish isn't mentioned in this game at all. She's not in it at all. So there's that. I mean, it's not like she would have really added anything to the story if she was here. So it's fine. But overall, it definitely wasn't like unplayable or anything like that. It's perfectly fine. Like you can definitely play through it. It kind of felt like a little bit of a slog sometimes, but generally, I mean, I had fun with the combat and stuff. So it's just, the story is just like a giant nothing burger, and it feels like a filler arc or something. So that's just my take on it. But other people may have stronger feelings about other stuff in it. Thanks for watching if you watched it this far. I'm trying to shorten the video and be a bit more concise about things. So I'll probably have like more of a shorter format. I mean, this one's already going to be significantly shorter than the last one, but if you have any feedback or anything, or if you enjoyed the longer format, then let me know.
But Sparta did